In the previous video, I presented my idea for converting this workshop to be fully off-grid with solar panels. And after a €300 gas and electricity bill, I'm starting to like this idea even more. The solar panel I mentioned before has been delivered, so in this video you will see me design and test custom brackets to fit the panel on the roof. I will show you how I connected everything to my solar charge controller, and after that I will connect this small solar setup to my home server, which stays powered 24/7. Guys from Wattcycle offered to send me their lithium iron phosphate battery along with their MPPT charge controller, and in the previous video I showed you how this works. To the output of the MPPT I have connected a small inverter, and I tried powering a couple of appliances, which worked perfectly fine. For the solar input side I didn't have any solar panels at the moment, so I decided to simulate a panel with my lab edge power supply, which in the end also worked pretty well. The panel I was talking about is finally here, and before I try to mount it on the roof, I'd like to hook up everything one more time to confirm everything is functioning correctly. I'll move outside and start by connecting the battery to the MPPT. I have already set my cell type in the previous video, so I can continue by connecting the inverter. After enabling the MPPT output, I powered up my inverter and connected my recording light to it, confirming that everything was working again. After unwrapping the solar panel, I saw that it features standard MC4 connectors. I came prepared by ordering a couple of sets from AliExpress, and after crimping them to a short length of cable, I connected the panel to the MPPT. The panel was giving me around 46 volts, and I had around 14.5 amps going to the battery. I connected to the battery with my phone, and I saw only 120 watts going into it. Then I noticed that a couple of solar cells were shaded, so I repositioned the panel so that the sun would light it up completely. After I did so, I saw a massive power increase. It was still way below the rated power, but since I decided to do this in winter, I will have to wait a couple of months to see how much power this panel will give me in better conditions. Since everything works, it's time to think about mounting the panel to the roof. I was looking at ways of mounting solar panels to perforated roofs, and people usually use aluminum extrusions or adjustable brackets like this one. There are a ton of great options, but since this kit for a single panel has a price that is pretty close to the price of the solar panel itself, and since I want to install at least 5 more of them, I wanted to design my own mounting solution. Since I own a 3D printer, a 3D printed bracket is the first thing that came to mind. But since most FDM materials are likely to fail under load with high heat, I decided that a metal mount would be a much safer option. Either way, I checked a couple of 3D printing sites to get some ideas. The model that caught my attention the most is this one, the flat solar panel mount by Patrick Blom. I fired up Fusion and designed something similar that would work for me. I really liked the idea of having the bracket as a single part, but I would like some clamping force on the panel, and since I chose to make this bracket from metal, aluminum to be precise, I would also need to adapt this model so it can be machined. This is the second iteration, and as you can see, I had to split it into 2 parts. The bottom part will clamp to the roof paneling with some self-tapping screws that also have a rubber seal which will prevent any water from getting under. I will also use some waterproof sticky foam to cover the bottom area, and in the end the bracket will be completely sealed, which is really important. The top part will grip onto the panel, and the whole bracket can be tightened by the 2 M4 bolts on the bottom. I played around with the 3D print to see how everything is fitting together, and since everything looks fine, it was time to machine some aluminum. This may be a bit off topic, but I bet it's going to be pretty interesting for any maker, since I definitely wouldn't skip this part. In order to make something on a CNC machine, you need G-code, same as with any 3D printer. When 3D printing, you drag your model into your preferred slicing software and click slice. After just a second, your G-code file will be ready. You transfer it to your machine and simply press print. With machining, the process is completely different. You have to program each operation manually, while making sure your part comes out the correct size and making sure you don't break the machine. Let's take a look at the bottom part of the bracket. I'm using 10mm thick stock and a total of 3 tools on the first side. I didn't want to use any extra material for fixturing, so I used this great technique which I saw at the Stony CNC YouTube channel. In order to fix tiny parts to a flat table, they are using 3M tape with CA glue. This allows you to ramp to your part's full depth without the worry of hitting any vice jaws. After the ramp with the 4mm single float cutter, I cut the recess for the top part. Then I bored the holes with a 2mm mill and applied the chamfer to remove any rough edges. After flipping the part, I machined the countersinks and hit everything with the chamfer tool again. The other part is a bit more complex since I had to machine it from 3 sides. On the first setup, I'm drilling and tapping the M4 holes. My thread mill is a bit short, so I had to finish this by hand later. On the second setup, I'm getting the part into its shape and hitting it with the chamfer tool. On the last setup, I'm cutting the excess material and doing a profile around the protruding part. Since I finished the silhouette from 2 sides, I knew I would have a visible seam line. but I don't really care about it since the parts won't be visible. This allowed me to use less material, so that's why I decided to go with this approach. These are the parts straight out of the machine, and this is how they look after I sandblasted them. I was also thinking about anodizing, but I wanted to get this video done over the weekend. I finished the brackets by tapping the M4 threads all the way, and I also prepared the sealing foam. I marked the high spots of my perforated roof on a piece of tape and transferred it to the panel after marking the center line. With the markings on the tape, I positioned the brackets where they needed to go, and then I tightened the M4 bolts so they don't move around. I went over all of the bolts and applied some Loctite, and after tightening them again, I put the sealing foam under the brackets. After flipping the panel, I repeated the same thing on the other side, and the panel was ready to be installed on the roof. I was lucky to have a friend help me out, and after we lifted the panel on the roof, I secured it with a single bolt in the middle. Then it was time to climb on top of the workshop and align the panel with the ribs of the roof. After securing all of the brackets on the top, I got down and secured the remaining ones on the bottom. After the panel was secured, I roughly routed the cables where they needed to go. I drilled some holes in the wall of the shed and pushed my wires through. I then sealed everything with silicone and installed a 3D printed cover I printed earlier. It was already dark at this point, so I was not getting any power from the panel, but I could still measure voltage to confirm the polarity. Then I routed the DC cable close to my junction box, and yes, I did print two MC4 wall covers, but I crimped the connector before installing it inside, and I didn't have any more connectors left, so it will have to stay like this until I get more. Then I took the MPPT and screwed it to the wall. Last time I had to solder the wires so the strands don't separate, but this time I borrowed the crimping tool, so I installed some wire lugs at the end of the cables. Then it was time to wire everything else. I cut the wires to size and crimped the lugs for the battery. After they were connected to the MPPT, I crimped some M8 lugs on the other side and wrapped them with heat shrink. Then I bolted the lugs to the positive and negative terminals, and the battery side was done. On the inverter side, I crimped the lugs and installed the cables to the MPPT. And last step, I connected the cables from the solar panel to the input side of the MPPT. For the first test, I got my dual battery and connected it to the inverter. And here you can see how everything looks together. I installed the inverter to the wall too, and since I didn't plan on getting electrocuted anytime soon, I decided to ground it. I made a grounding cable by crimping a wire lug to a ground wire and tested it. I connected the grounding wire to the inverter, and the setup was done. The panels will also have to be grounded in the future, but I'm currently under 50 volts DC, so I'm not really worried about it. I took my smart plug and connected a filament dryer to the solar setup to see if I could check the power consumption. I was pulling around 35 watts from the outlet, and now I was ready to connect my home server to this off-grid system. I connected my Zima blade, a portable monitor, and my internet router. I ran the server for a bit to confirm everything was okay. After checking the app, I saw that this setup was pulling only 15 watts from the inverter, and the battery was still charging with 160 watts from the panel. I disabled the charging to see the estimated runtime, and it was close to 50 hours, confirming that this setup can be run 24/7 without ever losing power. And that's it. I really hope you enjoyed watching this video. The battery and the MPPT are linked below, and make sure you use my code to get a discount. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and I will see you in the next one.